So the first question actually goes that do you recall when you heard metal or heavier music first time in your life?
You know, down to a specific date, really. But being Swedish and born in 1974, it was pretty early on. I have always said the first record I bought was The Number of the Beast by Maiden when it came out. But then I found like old notes from when I went to school, when I was a kid, where I wrote that the first record I bought was Lick It Up with Kiss, which is 1983.
Okay.
But it doesn't really matter because I heard metal music prior to that. You know, I had a neighbor, the first drummer in Opeth, his older brother was a metal guy and played Priest and Nazareth and Uriah Heep and those kind of bands to us kids when we were really young. I had like the equivalent of a kindergarten when there's like a mother in the neighborhood took care of children when the parents went to work, and I was one of those children at like a friend of mine's mother's house together with other kids, and they had a cassette player in the playroom with Sabbath's greatest hits. So this would be late 70s, early 80s when I heard like Iron Man and was afraid of that voice when he say I am Iron Man. It's like crying, afraid.
So what made you pick up a microphone and become a death metal vocalist?
Yeah, short summary is because there was nobody else who wanted to do it in the band. I mean, we started with my first band back in the day, and okay, who's going to be the singer? And nobody wanted to do it. I had some interest in death metal singers, so I figured, you know, okay, has to be me then. And that's how we started with my first band before Opeth. You know, I became the singer by chance.
So when you started doing like more extreme type of vocals, were there like some vocalists that you first mimicked and then figure out your own way to do things, or how did you get the voice that you have today?
Well, again, it was like I didn't know anything about techniques and stuff. Like I didn't know how to do it. You know, I thought it was just screaming. And some reason I developed early on a technique that would cut through noise. It's still the technique I'm using today, which according to some type of vocal coach that I met years and years ago is the correct technique.
Okay, so you found it like super easy.
Yeah, that's the way I did it, you know. I never just yelled. I had early on a technique. I can't remember why I did it like that, but my influence was the early bands like that you had in Sweden. Venom wasn't really a big influence to me. It sounded more like he was drunk. Bathory was he had a great death metal voice, I thought, Quorthon, and Chuck from Death, Chuck Schuldiner, and then of course David Vincent when he came out. So that was my kind of reference points. You know, that's how I wanted to sound. To this day, still the same. You know, I never really developed my voice either way. It stays in its range, so to speak, but still with those types of references where you can hear the words better than you can with Corpse Grinder.
Yeah.
Those kind of, not saying they're bad, they're great, you know, but like for me it's important with the enunciation and the articulation that you can actually hear what's being sung.
Yeah.
While reading the lyrics, you know. I think that's important to me.
So were there like some specific songs that you first covered, or did you jump like right into writing your own music and then you were also like developing the voice along the way?
Yeah, we did cover songs, but not death metal music. I mean, in the beginning we covered like Misfits,
yeah,
Sabbath and stuff like that. You know, easy enough songs.
So like rock and punk stuff more.
Yeah, I was never really a punk rocker, but I love the Misfits, you know. So, and that was because of Metallica, I think. Because Cliff had a Misfits t-shirt. But death metal for us was like, I wrote my first song was called Abandoned Life.
Okay. So you went straight to the like deepest end of the pool.
Yeah. There was even a solo in there. And we also used to do improvised grindcore songs.
Were you like losing your voice, or was it like all the way a voice that you could do those rehearsals in the beginning?
I never really lost my voice, really.
Okay, so you sort of like nailed it immediately.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I think so. Like it's only now I like lose my voice, but now of course I'm doing the so to speak clean singing as well, and that's the voice that gets affected. You know, even if I lose my voice, the death metal voice would still kind of be there, while the clean vocals might go away, which is a good kind of secret weapon to have. Your voice is gone, but we have a show in 2 hours. Okay, let's do death metal songs, you know. It works.
So when you started doing like more touring and had like more touring with Opeth, were you ready as a vocalist to do like show after show after show, or was it like learning? I guess there was also a little bit of partying involved, so did that affect a bit about that? Or?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I mean, it was terrible on the voice, you know, but we did, like, I remember we did 18 shows in a row, like when we were younger. But of course you're young and you kind of heal faster, and we're drinking heavily. Booze too, like blended scotch and that kind of stuff.
That's not good for the voice.
No, it's not, certainly not good. You know, smoking, I was smoking then. But I mean, it's kind of part of the thing, if you know what I mean. Like, we were out there like, we're thinking big shots or whatever, touring, and that was awesome, you know, but it wasn't really good on the voice. Now, you know, of course, take much more care of myself, and collectively we take care of it ourselves better than we did back then. But still, like, the voice is like, it's a muscle.
Yeah, it is.
You know, now, like, we played tonight, and we played the first show in a year and a half, just 3 days ago, and the voice is still kind of getting used to this type of strain, so to speak. To answer your question, if I'm going to say it, like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but it kind of works for me, so to speak.
So when it comes to like preparing for a show, did you had like any kind of routines in the early days, and at what point did you started to develop some kind of routines how to warm up or for a show?
Now, I just warm up the clean voice, really.
Okay.
The death metal voice, I do a few like ooh, you know, before I go on stage or whatever, if I feel the need to, if I remember. I try to sing like in toilets, like all the other singers. Try to find some privacy and warm up the voice, sing some White Snake songs or whatever.
Okay.
And then go out do the show, you know. But it's different from different persons, you know. I remember one of the fortunate guys I met, Ronnie Dio, and of course it's like bombarding him with questions about stuff. And one of the things he said, I never warmed up my voice. You know, I have a spliff and a beer and go on, you know. I was like, okay, you know, maybe that works. That works for him.
Yeah, that's okay for his voice.
Yeah, okay, but not for mine. I need to do something, you know. You know, just even if it's just for my kind of my own feel of security, to just do a few vocal lines, just see if it's a voice there at all, apart from the speaking voice, so to speak. But I don't do anything right, really. I don't do anything by the book, like a vocal coach would say, that's what you're doing is horrible for your voice, you know. I don't do it, but it's the same with music. Like, I'm clashing notes, you know, I don't do anything right, and that's kind of our strength in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Are there like some specific foods or drinks that you try to avoid before the show that you have felt that they affect your vocal cords somehow, like negatively, or on the other hand, something that you have felt that they help you with the singing and screaming?
I can't say down to like a 100% security that something helps or doesn't help. Like, I never drink before a show, as in alcohol. I never have. It's not so much for the singing, it's more for playing.
Yeah.
You know, I get shit after a beer. But no, I don't really avoid anything. Like, in the mornings when I wake up on tour, I usually want an ice cold Coke Zero, you know, kind of burn away, like the carbon oxide, to burn away the night, so to speak. Cup of coffee, and, you know, like, if I'm worn 10, 15 shows into a tour, I might drink some tea, throat coat, like, you know, that kind of stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary, I don't think.
So you have released during your career quite a lot of albums with like Opeth and Bloodbath. Are there like some specific albums that you could pinpoint from your like whole discography where you have felt that you've taken like big step forward as a singer? Not
really. You know, I don't really see myself as a singer or a guitar player, for that matter.
Okay.
I see myself I am a musician. You know, I like to write music. I think that's fun. The singer thing, like I said before, it's like nobody else wanted to do it. I guess it has to be me. So, and I don't compare myself to my peers or my idols, especially my idols. I don't go like, hey, Ronnie Dio, what's your trick? Mine's this and that. You're going to teach you something. Those guys are up there.
Yeah.
I'm just like a bum who got lucky, if you know what I mean. Of course, I wanted, with our own albums, I want to listen to the record and not really hear that it's me, so to speak. So I like to distance myself from the person singing on the record. And with death metal vocals, that's quite easy because, of course, I don't sound like that when I'm talking to you now. And with the clean vocals, I'm just kind of, trying to get as close to my idols as I can. But everybody's given this particular voice. I don't have any training. I don't know, like I said, I don't know what the hell I'm doing most of the time. The last album that we recorded, I think I tried to sing more like clean vocals with a bit more gravelly type of thing. Which
that was going to be my next question. And is there like something new on the upcoming album which you haven't done before?
Vocal-wise? I'm not sure if there's anything new, really. I mean, I don't think about vocals. I just like it's an instrument like any other. Like sometimes it demands a full-on type of singing, sometimes a really laid-back type of singing. Lucky for me, I can produce the sounds that I want to hear. So I'm fairly wide as a singer in that sense. I'm not great, but I can sing softly, I can sing mid-range, a bit stronger, and I can do death metal screams. So in that sense, I'm kind of covering a lot of bases that from the music that I want to do. But I'm not a master in either style, if you know what I mean. It's just kind of, I can achieve the results I want. And also it's hard for me to, like I said, see myself as a singer. With that said, it's nobody else can take my place, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
After all these years. In this band, I am the singer, it's just how it is. And even for me, it's hard sometimes to get that through my head.
So do you feel that the clean singing and death metal vocals go like hand in hand? So if you become like better with the clean singing, it also helps with the screaming, or on the opposite side?
Good question. Not necessarily, I think. It's a different type of technique, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
So it's... Clean singing to me, first and foremost, you want to try and be in pitch.
Yeah.
Kind of. Then, I mean, there's if you look at other singers, there's like people who sing perfect pitch, but they don't really have a great, like a nice voice to listen to, if you know what I mean. For me, I mostly hear the negative aspects of my clean voice, which what I said before, I don't really like to hear me, meaning the ugly aspects of my own voice, so to speak. So I try to develop a style that doesn't really sound like me. And over the years, that's the vocal style that's been developed the most, while in a way the death metal vocals have suffered a little bit for that. But playing live, of course, playing lots of old songs, you do both, and the death metal vocals for me feels more consistent than the other vocals. But then again, I don't know. It's all perception. What do people think out there in the crowd? Oh, he was shit that day, or great that day. And I thought I was shit both days, you know what I mean?
Today you had quite heavy set with quite a lot of like growling. So when it comes to the upcoming album, is it going to be like more focused on clean singing or growling, or what's going to happen with the next Opeth album?
See, I'm not talking about that.
You're not going to reveal it to me yet?
No.
Okay.
It's coming. I mean, we're not sitting on a Pink Floyd reformed record, So I know it's not super important, in this grand scheme of things, but to us, we like to keep it on the low down. So you'll just have to wait and see.
We'll wait and see for that. So there's few questions left, and the second last one actually goes to, do you remember what were your parents' reactions when they heard you screaming your lungs out for the first time?
They weren't particularly proud. My mother always told me that I had a lovely, lovely, beautiful voice when I was a child. Yeah, you had such a beautiful voice. Of course, when I got older, I stopped singing. I didn't want to sing. But then we started doing the bands or whatever and put out the records. She didn't like it. She is not, she was into, her idol is Tommy Steele. And she liked Cliff Richards, if you know what I mean. And she didn't particularly like metal. My dad is now kind of like, sounds awesome, son, you know. But at the time, they weren't really impressed. They didn't understand what I was doing, which is just the way you want it when you're a teenager. You don't want your parents to go like, I understand exactly what you're doing.
And it was also the time period that death metal was quite a new thing, so it wasn't something that you could hear anywhere. So
no, it was...
That was also a quite, I guess, like affecting thing in a way.
True. It was our own little secret.
Yeah.
Little dirty secret.
Yeah.
That this genre existed at all. And you didn't bring mother and dads into that.
Yep,
scene.
for sure.
It was ours, you know. But now they are proud. And my mother talks like, I love your song Burden. You know, she brings up the ballad songs, of course. So beautiful. And I'm like, oh, thanks. My dad actually called me up saying like, I like what you did with Pink Floyd. I was like, what do you mean? Well, you did a song with Pink Floyd. I was like, he doesn't know who Pink Floyd is. But he's like, that's a great song. I was like, well, we never did a song with Pink Floyd. So it turns out somebody had a mash together 2 songs on the internet or whatever, and he figured it was for real. I was like, that's a great song. But I talked to him again the other day, and he mentioned, like, he was name-dropping song titles. I was like, what the fuck happened? He's become a fan at 8 years old.
Better later than never.
Better late than never.
Last question. Any kind of advice that you would like to give to a young metal vocalist who is just about to start the journey? I guess this is a question that gets asked quite a lot from you.
Yeah. I can't remember where I read it. I thought it was such a cool thing. A real musician don't take advice, which I always liked. I don't know. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, it depends on what your aspirations are. If you want to conquer the world, make money, those kind of things, you know. I'm not the guy to ask. Ultimately, with all, not just a voice, with all types of, like, if you're interested in music, you need that passion, I guess. Perseverance that goes, something that you do when you're alone and something that you will do regardless if somebody hears you or likes you or whatever. Just something that you will do anyways, if you know what I mean. Something that's yours. If music is something that's yours, you're well off, I think. Perseverance, you know, if you start with a band, do your first record, it goes well, second record goes shit. Do you quit? I mean, do you fall out of love with music because your career isn't working the way you intended it to? No, you don't, because you love music. So that's how it is for me, anyways. And you shouldn't do anything less than the passion for it, you know. But then again, I mean, people can fake it till they make it all the time. That happens all the time. So I wouldn't know what to say, you know. But for me, it's all about the love of music.
Thanks a lot for taking the time.
Thank you.